Most people think finance is just about crunching numbers, tracking expenses, and preparing reports. You know, the boring back-office stuff. But what if I told you that finance, yes, finance, could actually be the secret weapon that transforms a business into a growth machine? Today, we're diving into 4 powerful strategies that can turn finance from a simple scorekeeper into a true driver of value creation. These lessons come from leaders and advisors who've seen how companies succeed and fail based on how they handle money. Stick around, because by the end of this video, you'll see finance in a completely new light. Whether you're an entrepreneur, a student, or even working in corporate, these lessons will change how you think about money in business. Here's the problem. Too many companies treat finance like a scoreboard. Think about sports. The scoreboard only tells you who's winning after the game has been played. It doesn't help you play better, right? That's exactly what happens in business. Finance teams just tally up revenue and expenses after decisions have already been made. The result? Companies leave massive value on the table. Frank Hobson, a partner at Fortuna Advisors, says finance leaders should think more like venture capitalists, or even like a point guard in basketball. A venture capitalist doesn't just count profits. They look at new ideas, evaluate potential, and place smart bets. And a point guard? They don't just stand around keeping score. They direct the play, they see opportunities, they distribute resources to where they'll have the biggest impact. So the big mindset shift is this: finance isn't just about tracking the past. It's about shaping the future. Let's dive into the first strategy: redefining the metrics that matter. Most companies simplify performance measures. They say, we want $1 billion in revenue next year. Sounds good, right? Except, it's not. Why? Because revenue alone doesn't tell the whole story. Think about it. What if that billion in revenue comes from a product that only makes 2% profit margins? Or worse, it costs more in capital to build than it ever returns? That's not growth. That's financial illusion. Hobson suggests using economic profit instead of just revenue or net income. Economic profit factors in not just earnings, but also the cost of capital. In simple terms, it asks, after paying for the money it took to build this business, are we actually making any real profit? Here's an example. Imagine 2 products. Product A makes $100 million in revenue with a $10 million margin. Product B makes only $40 million in revenue, but the margin is $15 million and requires less capital investment. Which is better? The scoreboard mentality would chase Product A. But the smarter choice, the value-creating choice, is Product B. This shift is huge. When teams are measured by true value creation, finance stops being the department that rejects ideas. Instead, they help shape better ideas. They become collaborators, not blockers. So ask yourself, in your business or career, are you chasing numbers that look good, or numbers that actually create value? Lesson number 2 is one of my favorites, and it's called the peanut butter spread mistake. In boardrooms, this phrase means spreading resources evenly across every business unit. The idea is, let's be fair, let's make sure everyone gets some budget. Sounds democratic, right? But here's the problem. Spreading resources too thin leaves every unit underfunded. Just like when you spread peanut butter too thin on bread, nobody really gets a satisfying bite. Hobson warns that this instinct for fairness actually kills growth. Why? Because not all business units are equal. Some are winners, some are struggling, and some are just average. By trying to make everyone happy, companies end up starving their best opportunities. Imagine you have 2 children. One is passionate about medicine, the other about painting. If you only have money to fund one education fully, but instead you split it evenly, both might end up half-funded and struggling. But if you strategically invest in one child's full potential at a time, you maximize the chance of success. That's how finance should treat capital. Don't spread it like peanut butter. Instead, double down where the biggest opportunities are. Support the products, services, or business units that are actually positioned to win. Yes, it might cause some internal friction. Some teams will feel left out. But guess what? The real competition is not inside your company. It's outside in the marketplace. And your competitors will happily eat your lunch if you don't focus your capital. Lesson 3 is all about partnership. Here's the truth. In most companies, finance and business units live in separate worlds. The product team comes up with ideas, and only afterward does finance show up to evaluate them. What usually happens? Finance says, nope, not profitable. Too risky. Not enough margin. End of story. But what if finance was involved from the start? Imagine finance being at the table during brainstorming sessions, not just at the approval stage. If that happens, teams don't just pitch ideas blindly. They shape them with profitability and value in mind from day one. That means fewer wasted ideas, fewer rejections, and way more innovation that actually works. Hobson puts it like this: businesses often know their top-selling product, but they don't really understand the true margin behind it. What if the costs, assets, and risks attached to that product actually make it less valuable than they think? Finance can uncover that. So when finance becomes a partner, not a judge, it creates a culture where innovation and financial responsibility grow together. That's how you build sustainable success. And finally, lesson 4, stop making finance the no department. Traditionally, finance gets the reputation of being the group that always rejects ideas. Someone brings an innovation, and finance says, too expensive. Too risky? Not in the budget. The fix? Build forums where ideas can be presented, discussed, and shaped with finance in the room. This way, instead of saying no after the fact, finance helps filter and refine ideas during the conversation. It's the difference between being a gatekeeper and being an enabler. Imagine if, instead of being the people who block projects, finance became the playmakers, running the offense, calling the plays, distributing capital smartly, and empowering teams to win. That's how you unlock creativity while keeping discipline intact. So let's wrap this up. Finance is no longer just about keeping score. It's about driving growth, shaping strategy, and creating real long-term value. The 4 lessons again are: 1. Redefine the metrics that matter. Focus on true economic profit. 2. Don't spread capital like peanut butter. Invest with focus. 3. Partner deeply with the business. Co-create instead of judge. 4. Build forums for ideas. Transform finance into an enabler. When finance leaders embrace these strategies, they stop being bookkeepers and become point guards, guiding the business towards smarter plays, better investments, and real competitive advantage. So whether you're running a startup, leading a corporate team, or even just thinking about your own career, ask yourself, are you just keeping score, or are you driving growth? Thanks for watching. If you found this valuable, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, because we've got more videos coming up on how to turn strategy into action, and ideas into impact.